Good evening. I'd like to call to order the December 5th, 2023 Old Bridge Township Council meeting. Please rise. Remain standing for a pledge of allegiance, for our prayer, and for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As customary in this chamber, we stand for a moment to remember those who are protecting our freedoms, both here and abroad, for our first responders, for those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. And this evening, please pray for peace all over the world. A moment of silence, please. Our prayer, Mr. Pischetti.
Dear Lord, bless thy servants in the ministry of public affairs who serve thee in this chamber. Give us quiet minds and hearts that we may hear your voice. Help us to know when to speak, when to be silent. Give us the strength to uphold the right and oppose the wrong. And grant that we have a good conscience and a soul at peace with thee and with one another. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro.
Here.
Councilperson DePalma.
Here.
Councilperson Desai.
Here.
Councilperson Garcia.
Here.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli. Here. Let the record reflect that Councilperson Murphy is absent. Councilperson Paschetti.
Here.
Council Vice President Walker. Here. Council President Sohar.
Here, and Mr. Murphy, Councilman Murphy did call me just before and let me know he will not be here this evening.
This meeting is being held in conformance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice has been given to the official newspapers of the Township on January 6, 2023, and has been posted in public places. Next open public meeting of the Township Council will be held on Tuesday, December 19, 2023 at 7:30 p.m.
Thank you very much, everyone. Welcome to the meeting. And we will begin with presentation of awards in recognition of police officers. Good evening, Mayor.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. Tonight's a special night where we're going to recognize some police officers for their actions over the previous months. I would ask Acting Chief Don Fritz to please join me. Our first officer will be receiving the Public Service Award. I would ask Detective Jessica Caffrey to please come forward. On January 5th, 2023, while working a road job, Detective Jessica Caffrey provided medical attention to an employee for the traffic plan company. The employee sustained a serious injury to his arm at the job site. Prior to the arrival of the first aid, Detective Caffrey applied direct pressure as well as a tourniquet to his arm to prevent further loss of blood. The individual was transported to Robert Wood Johnson Hospital, where he underwent surgery for a damaged blood vessel. Detective Caffrey's quick response in treating the injury alleviated the possibility for a more serious outcome. It is my pleasure to present Detective Jessica Caffrey with the department's Police Service Award. Congratulations. Our next award is a Police Commendation Award. I would ask Police Officer Jeffrey Carabin to step forward and Police Officer Robert Jenks. You didn't get the uniform memo? On May 5th, 2023, Officers Jeffrey Carabin and Robert Jenks responded to a call inside a food establishment on 516 regarding a male individual carrying a concealed weapon. The officers entered the restaurant and quickly identified the individual, removed the weapon from his possession, handcuffed him, and led him out of the establishment without incident to the 15 employees and 30 patrons that were in the restaurant at that time. Following the incident, it was discovered that the weapon was stolen from North Carolina and contained prohibited armor-piercing rounds. I am proud to present Officer Jeffrey Carabin and Police Officer Robert Jenks with the department's Police Commendation Award. Thank you, gentlemen. Our next award is the Meritorious Service Award. I would ask Police Officer Michael Bucci and Police Officer Thomas Rothman to please come forward. On June 5th, 2023, Officers Michael Bucci and Thomas Rothman responded to a call for a father-son dispute. When they arrived at the scene, they were advised that the son was in possession of a knife and threatening suicide. The individual admitted he wanted to die and was screaming erratically and banging on the window. The officer's demeanor remained calm, and they were able to maintain an open dialogue with the individual. After approximately 40 minutes, the officers, along with the assistance of a family member, were able to convince the individual to exit the house and be transported for treatment. It is my pleasure to present Officer Michael Bucci and Officer Thomas Rothman for the department's Meritorious Service Award. Thank you, guys. Our next award is another Meritorious Service Award. I would ask Detective Sergeant Robert Mazalewski, Detective Philip Belgio, Detective Daniel Greco, Detective Jake Canello, Police Officer Dominic Bolognese, and Police Officer Douglas Rhodes to please come forward. On December 9th, 2022, Detective Sergeant Robert Mazalewski, Detectives Philip Belgio, Daniel Greco, and Jake Canello, and police officers Dominic Bolognese and Douglas Rhodes responded to a call for a suicidal male who might be in possession of a handgun. Through their observations of the individual, it was determined that he was highly intoxicated and having a mental health episode. During their conversations with the individual, it became apparent that this could turn into a hostage-type situation when he refused to leave his residence and would not allow his wife to leave either. After approximately 3 hours of negotiating in 20-degree temperatures, a highly volatile situation was resolved without any injuries. So I am pleased to present these officers with the department's Meritorious Service Awards. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, as I read those letters of commendations and record of what truly transpired, we realize what these young men and women do to protect us at all times. So please give them another round of applause. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Next. Signboard.
Now we're going, yes, to the communication board recognition.
Ready, Matt? Thank you, thank you. If everyone looked to the TV screens when I am speaking, tonight we're paying recognition for a project that went around town, communication boards. A communication board is a large symbol-based communication method for children and adults of all ages who require different forms of communication. The boards are gaining popularity all over the country and are all in all environments and serve the entire community. They promote independence, foster socialization, and provide inclusion for all. The communication board was donated by SEPTA. Were beautifully framed by the Old Bridge High School woodshop students under the direction of Mr. Andrew Borriello and Mrs. Nancy Cogland. The communication boards were placed at the following location by Eagle Scouts under the direction of Kevin Gallagher, our Scoutmaster for Troop 129. The following Eagle Scouts will get their Eagle badge through SEPTA Communication Board Project. At Higgins Field, it was Thomas Fulton. At Guy Park, Sean Barnett. At Mamino Park, Xavier Medali. And Veterans Park, Ethan Smith. As you can see, this was a township-wide effort by many groups. So I would like to invite up the following in attendance tonight to be recognized for their great community project. Representing SEPTA are President Diane Michael. Diane, please step forward. Vice President Kim Venturola. You going to say something? Treasurer, I don't know if Colleen, is Colleen here? Colleen is not here, but Colleen Collick played a crucial role. And Secretary Push Carr is also not here, but let's give them a round of applause. They started this and got it done. Amazing. Stay here, stay here, stay here. It's going to be a while. Representing Old Bridge High School woodshop classes are teachers Andrew Borriello, you here? And Nancy Coglin. Representing the Boy Scouts, our Scoutmaster, Kevin Gallagher. Please step forward. And the Eagle Scout, Thomas Fulton. Let's give these people a big round of applause. And our other scouts that are in this room. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Go get them.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. That was really wonderful. Old Bridge is just an amazing place to be part of. So I want to thank everyone. We will start to be going into the body of the meeting. So if you wish to stay, you're more than welcome to. And if not, we will not feel put out if you decide to call it an evening. So thank you very much. Okay. All right. Next will be our bill list. Mrs. Walker.
Accounts payable December 5th, 2023, $12,860,740.29. Payroll November 23rd, 2023, $1,151,467.15. Payroll overtime November 22nd, 2023, $29,524.29. And that concludes the bill list.
Mrs. Shapiro, can we have a breakdown, please, of the overtime?
Thank you, Council President. As Councilwoman Walker indicated, overtime for pay period November 24th, 2023 was $29,524.29. Sworn police overtime in the amount of $14,738.70. Deduct grants in the amount of $411.20. Deduct ETO in the amount of $8,456.50 for a total of $5,871, representing 70.5 hours for men and women that worked. Injured on duty or light duty was one officer, and just so council is aware, there was a slight uptick due to elections during that period.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Shapiro. Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Pasquini.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro?
Yes.
Councilperson DePalma?
Yes.
Councilperson Desai?
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia?
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Councilperson Pasquini?
Yes.
Council Vice President Walker?
Yes.
Council President Sohar?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, next will be public hearing, second reading ordinances, H1, ordinance implementing the provisions of the Title 39 New Jersey Motor Vehicle Statutes, Subtitle 1, with various traffic regulations applicable to the Oaks 1 development, Schulmeister Road, and Astor Circle, regulating the use of said roadways. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, it's open now to the public. Anyone wish to be heard on H1? Seeing no hands, I will close the public portion and go to roll call, please.
Councilperson DeCaro?
Yes.
Councilperson DePalma?
Yes.
Councilperson Desai?
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia?
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli? Yes. Councilperson Pasquini?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, nobody made a motion.
No.
Did you take a motion?
Oh, I didn't do, oh my goodness. All right, I need a motion.
I'll move it.
Okay, moved by Dr. Greenberg, Mr. De Palma seconded, and now roll call.
Starting again, Councilperson DeCaro.
Go.
Again, yes.
Councilperson De Palma.
Yes.
Councilperson Desai.
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Councilperson Pasquitti.
Yes.
Council Vice President Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
8 yeses.
Thank you. Okay, next is discussion ordinance amending Old Bridge Township Code, Chapter 108 of the Code of the Township of Old Bridge, entitled Construction Codes Uniform, specifically 108-4, entitled Building Subcode Fees. Good evening.
Good evening, Council. Good evening, Council. Tonight, I have 2 ordinances actually for discussion, and most of it is actually housekeeping. The first one is Chapter 108, Section 4, which pertains to building department fees. And the amendments that you see in front of you are actually already a part of the UCC. Our code should have been updated, but we have not updated our code since 2017. And none of this is different. It's already there in the UCC code. I just want to incorporate it now because, for example, electric charging or electric vehicles wasn't a thing until recently, but now we need to add it because when people come in for permits, electric permits, they always ask, where is it written in the code? We follow the UCC guidelines. We charge them based on UCC, but it's not in our code. So I want to ensure that we include all those updates with the rates in our code as well. The other thing that we didn't have, or rather we had an S1 and S2 group which pertains to warehouses. We already had it in our code and it was fixed at 7 cents per cubic foot. Until now, we didn't have as many warehousing projects, but when now with the redevelopment plans that we have written, we are constructing them, it came to our attention that we are charging a higher rate than what UCC recommends. UCC recommends between 2 cents and 4 cents. I did look at other towns that have similar uses, and they all charge, like for example, Edison charges 2.25 cents. Monroe charges 2.4, Jackson charges 3.5. So everybody has it between 2 cents and 4 cents. We are at 7 cents. The only 2 towns that have it at 7 cents is Sayreville and Old Bridge. I don't know who copied whose rate, but it just doesn't make sense when everybody else in the state has it based on UCC. So we're just making it competitive. The other regulations related to S1 and S2, they've always been part of UCC code. So the way permitting fees are calculated, even if the warehouse is like 65 feet, the fees are calculated, they are capped at 20 feet when calculating the volume and the fees associated. It was always in the code when we did Kennedy International, because that was one of the warehouses that we did in the past. We did calculate it the right way. It was just not in our code. So it's a housekeeping matter. I'm just trying to fix and update the code. But those are the changes.
Anyone have any questions for Vina?
And Council, I think we have a responsibility to update, make sure our codes are accurate and in compliance, that when a developer does, it is in writing. And as Vina finds things, like I said, the charging station, new, but we have to put it in writing, and who knows what's coming down the line. But so this is going to be constantly a living document where we have to stay up with the times in order to maintain credibility.
I think also, Mr. Mayor, one of the other concerns we had with especially use groups S1 and S2, there should be a correlation between the fees charged and the work being done. And so there was a concern, legitimate concern, that that wasn't the case. That correlation did not exist. So in that instance, when that happens, that opens the township up for being, well, you would ultimately, the challenge the fees being associated with, because you're not supposed to be making a profit on these types of situations. So So again, I think the changes that were recommended by the construction code official and the planner are consistent with what Vina had said, the Uniform Construction Code, and what would be appropriate, giving, when you look at surrounding communities as well.
Thank you. Anyone? No questions? Then I would ask consideration to put this up for first reading. Can I get a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. DePalma.
Roll call, Councilperson DeCaro?
Yes.
Councilperson DePalma? Yes. Councilperson Desai?
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia?
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Councilperson Paskiddy?
Yes.
Council Vice President Walker?
Yes.
Council President Sohar?
Yes.
So 8 yeses, public hearing set for December 19th, 2023.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Next-
council.
You're welcome. Okay, next discussion ordinance, amending Old Bridge Township Code, Chapter 250-104 of the Code of the Township of Old Bridge entitled Fees, specifically 250-104B, entitled Subdivision 250-104C, entitled Site Plan, and 250-104O, entitled Waiver of Fees.
Thank you, Chairwoman. This ordinance is fees related to the land development ordinance or the development applications that come in. I'll go with the easy one first, Section O, which is waiver of fees. We have currently, the ordinance allows the council to waive application fees pertaining to OBMUA or nonprofit organizations such as the Old Bridge Fire Commission. But it's specific and it only exempts the Fire Commission. It does not take into consideration other nonprofit organizations. I would like to recommend that we add that any nonprofit organization that is operated with volunteers be exempt, and the council has the ability to waive fees, because recently I came across a request by Old Bridge softball girls team. They wanted to change the lights at the grounds, and that triggers a variance and requires a review by the planning board. When I calculated the fees turn out to be $5,000. It is much more than what it would cost them. And we're not asking for waivers on the professional review fees or the escrows. This is just the application fee, so that the council has the ability to waive such fees. So
makes
that's the change that is recommended. The other one, and this has been somewhat on my radar for the longest time, ever since I took over planning department, is amended site plan or subdivision fees. Many a times it happens that a developer or an application has to come back for minor changes on the site. In our fee schedule, there is no category for amended site plan or amended subdivision plan. There is a category for amended general development plan, but not for smaller applications. Sometimes it is quite, it's astonishing that they're coming back in 6 months, they've already paid a high fee, and then they come back and they have to pay the entire fee because there is nothing in the ordinance that allows it. In the past, the towns I've worked with, they usually have a cap, 25% of the original fees, 30% of the original fees. I'm recommending that as the administrative officer, I have the ability to reduce the fees when deemed necessary to 25% or lower, and the maximum would be $50,000. The reason I have that $50,000 is some of our sites are huge, and the fees are calculated based on the lot area and the square footage of the building. If the area of the lot is large, the fees are exorbitant. Some of the recent ones, I have charged $250,000, $200,000 in just application fees. And when the developer goes to an outside consultant like DP, and DP requires some changes, they come back, I feel awkward asking for another $200,000 or $250,000, because my professional review time or other professionals' review time is covered by escrow. This is just the application fee. So I would want to request the council to change the ordinance to give me the ability to reduce the fees to 25%.
Again, council, common sense. We want to help our nonprofit volunteer organizations if they want to do improvements on their facilities. giving us some flexibility. And again, with the larger projects, if they have just a simple change to make, it doesn't make any sense to have to pay that fee again, the full total fee. So again, just a common sense approach to
Does
billing.
anyone have any questions?
I just want to say I appreciate you going through and trying to do what you can to help the residents, especially the nonprofits, because, they're just trying to do, they don't make any money. They only make what they can, to support themselves. So thank you for doing that. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, it really is a good initiative.
Thank you.
Okay, so if no one has a question, then I would ask for a motion.
I move it.
Second.
Okay, moved up by Dr. Greenberg, Mrs. Walker, second.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCarro.
Yes.
Councilperson DePalma.
Yes.
Councilperson Desai.
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Councilperson Paskitty.
Thank you, Vina. Yes.
Council Vice President Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes, and thank you.
Eight yeses. Public hearing set for December 19th, 2023.
Yep, we really do appreciate. Thank you, Mayor. Okay, next is ordinance of the Township of Old Bridge. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
This one gets referred back to
Yeah.
the planning.
This one
Right.
gets referred back to the planning board. We have a meeting coming up on 14th, so we should be
15th?
ready for this.
All right. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, thank you. All right. So then they'll let us know on the 15th what happens with it. Okay, all right. Okay, next is ordinance of the Township of Old Bridge, amending Chapter 5, Administration of Government, Article 13, Department of Police, the Code of the Township of Old Bridge, entitled Department of Police by amending Section 5-104, Promotion to Sergeant, and Section 5105, Promotion to Lieutenant. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Council. Joining me is Acting Chief Don Fritz. We come before you tonight for a discussion item. It's pretty self-explanatory, changing the promotion process to sergeant and also including the testing for the next rank of lieutenant. We believe this is important to move the department forward in the coming years, if not decades. Don can go into some detail how long this has been in place and for the reasons we want to change it, why we want to change it, and how we're going to change it. I don't know if you had a chance to review it. I believe, again, it's common sense when it comes to promotions within the police department. Don?
Good evening, Council. Our current promotional process has been in play for well over 30 years. I believe the initial running of this ordinance was to correct wrongs from decades ago. It has since turned into its own little monster. When you hire candidates to become police officers, there's a selection process. When we promote to sergeant, there's a selection process. When we promote to captain, there's a selection process, and chief, there's a selection process, but there's no selection process for the rank of lieutenant. The current sergeants we have are excellent sergeants, but we have had history in the past where some sergeants weren't so good. And unfortunately, they just hang around long enough and they get promoted to lieutenant just by occupying space. So we came up with a promotional ordinance, quite similar to the selection process, promotion to sergeant for the lieutenants. If you have any questions, if you had an opportunity to review it and you have a specific question, it might be easier.
Okay.
Now,
I'll
maybe
open
go
it up.
into some details about it. There'll be a test involved.
Okay, yes.
process.
Okay, so
I will,
I'm sorry. So, all right, so similar to the sergeant's test, there'll be a written examination by the Chiefs of Police Association, State of New Jersey. There'll be an oral examination, same thing, by the Chiefs of Police from the State of New Jersey. And then finally, there'll be a local interview board with the mayor, the chief of police, and some other select individuals. We raised the minimum score to pass from 70 to 80, raising the bar just a little bit. And other things will be taken into account. Disciplinary record, if any, training will all have points. Performance evaluations, not this time around, but the next cycle. Performance evaluations will be calculated. They'll come up with a numeric value, and they'll be factored in as well.
And so we believe a more fair scoring and a level playing field as you go through the process, where there's just not one item that sways or balances the scales all the way to one side where somebody doesn't have a chance to score successfully, so.
Right. Again, for 30 years, the current ordinance is weighed heavy on seniority. If you had an opportunity to look at it. And in the past, it happens almost every test where you'll have an individual who scores very well, very well through all three phases, and in the end, the seniority gets factored in, and they go from the top of the list down to the bottom of the list. That's inherently wrong. Should not be based solely on seniority. Seniority has a place. We have not removed it. We just made it more fair.
So, yeah, I'm sorry.
No,
So
it's all right.
was there a specific compelling factor that you are coming up with this now? I mean, is there a specific problem with the current sergeants that you feel that you need to put this in place now currently? Or, what was the compelling factor for this?
It was time. Like I explained, we have had in the past, we've had sergeants maybe not do their job as well as they could have or should have, and all they have to do is hang around long enough and they get promoted to lieutenant, and the problem doesn't go away. Like I said before, the sergeants we have now are all excellent sergeants. Has nothing to do with any of them individually. It's just time.
How many sergeants do we currently have that are
17.
17? And when do they, so they've all taken the sergeant's exam at different times, obviously, right?
That's
Or-
correct.
Yeah. So let's say there's a sergeant that maybe took this sergeant's exam 5 years ago, right? Is that, no?
3 years.
3 years, that's right, I did
Active
read that.
list goes back.
I did read that, 3 years. So say 3 years ago, and they're waiting, they're on the list. Now, all of a sudden, they could maybe be the next one to be promoted, and now that's gone for that person.
That list expires, was it done March?
Yes.
So any promotion done before that time would be using the existing list. When this list expires, the new testing will go into place.
So the 17 sergeants that are on this list now, right? I'm trying to understand what you're saying. The 17.
There's a list now that has names.
Right,
That
those
would
are.
be entitled to the promotion to the rank of sergeant now. That list is expiring 2024.
In 2024, do they have to retake their
And
sergeant's
then they would
exam?
have to retake it anyway.
In 3 years?
There'd be a new test in place
Okay.
regardless.
Okay. And have you spoken to the current sergeants now, the 17? Have you gotten feedback from them, good, bad, pro, con, how they feel about this?
I have spoken to them, yes. I approached the SOA, the sergeants, and it was a hard no. They don't want to have to take a test. And I understand that.
Right,
It's
right.
human nature. No one would
Because I
wanna take a
understand that
test.
the sergeant's exam is very grueling, very, very stressful, very difficult.
As it should be.
Right. Do officers, do they have to take continuing education credits? As I know, like in my profession, you have to take, in order to keep yourself current, you have to take like continuing education and whatever to keep yourself
I would
current.
say
Is
we
that
consider it training, Don, if you want to
Training,
elaborate.
I guess,
The
sure.
training is tremendous.
Yeah, there's your.
it's
yeah.
mandatory? Okay.
Yes, yes.
So I'm just trying to think like if they've gone through the sergeant's exam, so they have to take the sergeant's exam again in 3 years? Every 3 years, they have to take a sergeant's exam, even if they're already a sergeant?
You wouldn't take a sergeant's
Well, this is
exam
what
if you were a sergeant.
This is what I'm asking. So you're not making it clear, I don't think.
This is patrolmen wanting to reach the rank of sergeant.
Right. There are two lists. There's a sergeant eligibility list that exists, and then is there a sergeant list for eligibility for lieutenants that exists?
Yes, right now, under the current ordinance,
Under the current ordinance, it's seniority, as the sergeants of the
right,
seniority.
seniority as sergeant is the order in which you make lieutenant.
And those are the 17 officers,
That's correct.
right? So I thought you said before that it expires in 3 years, and then they have to take another test.
We were
That's what-
talking about the sergeant's test.
No. Oh, no, I was asking you about the lieutenant.
They would have to take a lieutenant's test.
Right.
A sergeant who wants to be a lieutenant, they don't have to take the test. A sergeant who wants to move up to the rank of lieutenant would now be required under the new ordinance to take a test.
Okay, and they were not required. Was there any kind of interview process before, or was it just like, oh, hey, there's an opening, you're next in line, you have it?
Yes, if there's an opening, they were next in line.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I mean,
Regardless of the performance of that officer.
I feel like, if someone took the sergeant's test and they went through all of that, because what I was reading here is that, knowledge of police, whatever, all the criteria that is on the test, right? Knowledge of things. I feel like it was the same criteria as to be used for the sergeant. So they already took that test with their police knowledge and things of that nature. Now, is this test, what's going to be different about this test? You know what I mean? Like,
I think the role of a
can't-
lieutenant is much different than the role of a sergeant, especially in today's policing. So it makes sense that that sergeant needs to test for requirements of a lieutenant. And it has changed, and Don, you can elaborate on how policing has changed and the role the lieutenant plays within Old Bridge as opposed to the role the sergeant plays. The lieutenant is not on the road. He's now considered administration. He's running an entire squad, whereas a sergeant might be only responsible for a few men. He's on the road. But the lieutenant, at the end of the day, is the officer in charge of the entire town when he is lieutenant behind the glass during his assignment. So
Right.
there's a big difference in
Okay.
responsibilities.
All right. I'm just not sure how I feel about this. So, but thank you. I don't know. I don't have any other questions.
It's never a bad thing when people test, never.
Anyone else on my left? Mr. De Palma?
So how does this look as compared to the other towns surrounding us, Sayreville, Monroe, East Brunswick? What do they do for their superior officers for promotions? Do we know?
You can, oh my God, you can run any combination. Sayreville would be civil service. Those rules kind of are a little bit
Oh, yeah,
different.
so, I mean, the non-civil service, right?
Okay, so non-civil service towns, a lot of towns have tests for promotion. Some towns, usually smaller ones, do not. The head law enforcement officer would pick for promotion with no testing, no criteria, which is probably a lot of reasons why we got away from that, again, 3.5, 4 decades ago and started actually having a test, because back then we didn't.
So we didn't have a test 30 some odd years ago for sergeant?
Yeah,
is
back
that
then
what
the
you're saying?
chief would just pick,
okay.
and everybody would be in an acting position indefinitely for years.
And that's never a good practice.
No, I mean, I don't agree with having acting forever, right? That's not the way to, one, build morale or build a strong department. I'm just trying to understand, like, where did all of the thought process that went into this, right? So it looks like some of it is the seniority is being cut, like it's being weighted differently and things like that. I'm just trying to understand if there is like a model that we've looked at or multiple models that we've looked at throughout the state or even throughout our county that factored us into landing on what we landed on.
Well, what we did here is, again, seniority weighed heavily. If you factored out the way the sergeant's test worked to get promoted to sergeant, you took a written, you took an oral test, and then you had a local interview. And then those 3 scores would be averaged together. So each part of the testing, your job knowledge, would only count for 1/3 of your final score. And at the end, your seniority would be added full value. So seniority had 3 times the weight as any other portion of the test, which, like I stated before, it would actually flip that list. You'll have people who have
So
good
of
job
a-
knowledge, lots of training, and then they go from the top to the bottom of the list.
So you're saying of a 100-point test, 33 points are knowledge-based, 77 points are based on seniority? That's how it is now? Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is you take a written test.
Yeah.
You get a 70 or better to go on to the next phase. So you have a numerical score. Say it's 100, just for ease of numbers. You go to the chiefs of police interview, it's another test. It's an oral test. Same thing, you can score up to 100 points. So now you have 100 in the first phase, 100 in the second phase. You go to a local interview, you leave that interview, and you did exceptionally well, you have another 100. Average together, it's 100. That's your final score, 100. And then your seniority gets added to the top. So if you're here 20 years, now I have 120. That's your final score. But each portion only carried 1/3 the weight of the other two portions for job knowledge, for testing. The written only really had 1/3 of the weight. The chiefs of police oral had 1/3 of the weight. The local oral had 1/3 of the weight. But the seniority had full weight.
Full weight.
And all we're doing now is, we're not removing seniority. Seniority has its place, it's important, but it's not the deciding factor. It's not the overwhelming factor when it comes to promotion to the next rank.
I mean, it's a lot here. I mean, this ordinance came out, at least I started looking at it early this morning, so I have a lot of questions that I'm going to have to go through. So, based off of what happens here, I'd love to meet with you, the township attorney, the mayor, talk through this and understand it fully. a
Absolutely, I
little bit
wouldn't
more.
be here unless I didn't believe in this.
No,
In fact, I wanted to bring it to this council's attention much sooner. So this needs to take place if you want to maintain a credible police department in a town this size.
Yeah,
Needs
so
to happen.
within a short amount of time, I would like to meet with all of you. But at the same time, should we move this to second reading, I also would like to roundtable with some of the officers as well, just to kind of understand, to get their thoughts and feedback.
It's really not the process of the council to do that, Councilman De Palma. You should not be interacting with the police officers. That's not your role as a councilman. Not. You want to talk to the chief? Fine. Not the officers. And that goes for the entire council. You have questions, you ask me, you ask Donnie.
Yep, okay. I'll have the questions, but I mean, if some of them are residents, I can meet with them, right? So,
Well, you do that. And
Or union representatives, right?
Mr. Desai,
yeah, no, I'm good.
Mr. Desai, did you have? Okay. And how about now on my right? I'll start with Mr. Biscotti and I'll work
I have a
my way down.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Did you want to go first?
No, go ahead.
Well, thank you for looking at it. I guess, it's worth looking at. Each level in the police department, like I heard the sergeant's test is very difficult, right? Is there a test before that other than the hiring process? No? So currently, a sergeant would get to the level of lieutenant with no testing. It's just like longevity. And then the next step is captain?
That's correct.
Okay, is there a testing process there?
There's no test, but there's a selection process.
Okay,
It's
so,
not by seniority.
okay, so how about from captain to chief?
there's a process in the ordinance for that. There is a process in place.
Is there a testing?
No testing, no.
So currently, there's only testing for a sergeant. And now we want to add to the lieutenant. What about the next level to captain and the next level to chief?
That would be up to the council.
I mean, if we're doing it there, why not doing it for all the levels?
Well, that's up to council.
We're going to take a little bite at the apple this
Yeah.
time. This is the critical step. This is the critical step to go from sergeant to lieutenant because of the role the lieutenant plays within this department. This is critical. And as Don said, there is a selection process from lieutenant to captain. It's not based on the next guy in line. Makes a recommendation, 3, and then the mayor gets to decide who those captains are. Same thing with the chief. There's a process that you go through to name a chief. So there's a process in place. There is no process in place for lieutenant. The next guy in line gets it automatically.
Okay, thank you.
And as we've done so much things to improve the department, we've raised the educational requirements to get on the department. It just makes sense to keep going. And as you said, maybe in the future, continue up the chain of command.
Yes, thank you. I am familiar with the process, as you guys know I was a cop. I didn't do well in testing, but I was a cop. My concern is I wouldn't want to be that sergeant that's sitting number 1 for a promotion to lieutenant. My question is, how many sergeants do they make? Average a year, every 2 years? Is there such a number?
No, it has to do with attrition. As openings come available,
what I thought.
we go off the list for sergeant. And there's an opening for lieutenant, it would be the next sergeant on the list.
So there's a good chance those 17 sergeants that have been waiting, there's a good chance some 10 of them won't get made sergeant, or they may retire by then, of course. So it's hard to say, pretty
Well,
much.
that chance exists, but it also exists now. I mean, nothing says there's going to be an opening for lieutenant anytime soon.
Well, my thought is this testing process, if you rank them number 1 to 17, the guy who's number 17 may have a better chance at getting sergeant by taking a test, as
That's
opposed
correct.
to waiting his turn, let's say.
Yes.
That's my thought. But on the other hand, I wouldn't want to be number 1 or number 2 or number 3, and all of a sudden, my chance is gone. That's my only issue.
Mr. Garcia, I've been on both ends of that spectrum, exactly what you talked about. So I understand where you're coming from.
So my thought is, how soon are we going to do this? Can we at least get, I don't know, maybe at least the top 3 sergeants made when needed, of course, and then maybe get into the testing? I don't know. I just don't think, I wouldn't want to be a sergeant in waiting. All of a sudden, the rules change.
At some point in the process, there's going to be somebody not happy.
No, I understand.
But that
That's
should
why-
bring out the best in everyone to take the test.
No, I got you.
1 through 17, if all 17 sergeants wanted to take the lieutenant test, that should bring out the best, and all 17 have to offer. And then the person who's not waiting in line, but the person who's more qualified for the position will then get it.
No, I totally get that point. But I keep dwelling on the part, I wouldn't want to be, let's say, the top 5 guys. All of a sudden, the rules have changed, now I got to take, and now I'm waiting even longer, depending on how I score on the test.
Or you're waiting even less. If you're number 5, you could be number 1.
No, I get that. So that's my only issue with that. So we don't know what time frame we're talking about, 6 months, 9 months
For what?
for taking the test,
Early 24.
Yeah,
early 24.
yeah.
As I said, the existing list expires. So we're going to need a test prior to that expiration so that the next group of individuals getting promoted will be in place.
I got you. Okay, that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Walker? And I don't either, so at this point, I will ask the council if they would entertain moving this up for first reading.
And that'll give you enough time to have asked your questions and 2 weeks.
And I do encourage everyone, if you have a question, please, it's important. This is a big decision. So if you have anything that you wish to look into, by all means.
Just one more thing.
Yeah.
You keep saying that it's going to expire, but the sergeants are still the sergeants. They're still on the list. So you keep saying it's going to expire, and you're...
No, the
I feel-
patrolmen are on the list for sergeants.
Right.
There's
I'm
patrolmen.
talking about
That
going
list
up
is going
to,
to expire.
from sergeant to lieutenant is really what's being changed here. So
Both of
that
them.
list is not
We
expiring.
don't have a list.
You have a list for sergeants, sure you do. You have
It's next in
17
line.
sergeants.
If you want
Yeah.
to call it a list. It's-
Well, there is a list of names of 17 sergeants, right?
And as soon as that
call that
test
a
was
list.
given, then there'd be a new group, whether it be the same 1 through 17.
So the people
Maybe
that-
it's 2, 1, 3, 4, 5.
So the ones that took their, so
when
is
you
there any
expire-
way, to say, okay, we want, apparently this has been in place for 30 years and it's not working, according to you guys. But is there any way for the current sergeants that are there now to have the same, have what they thought when they achieved sergeant status and they thought they were going to be on the list? Is there any way to just kind of, when you do this this ordinance change, have it be for the people that are taking the sergeant's exam now and moving forward, like not including those 17?
That would be decades. It's just counterproductive. If you're talking about some type of grandfathering for the sergeants that are there now, by the time you got through that, we wouldn't be here.
So for the past 30 years, you just don't think that it's been working? You think that there are people over the past 30 years, you think there are
I
sergeants?
don't believe it's working. I wouldn't be here if I thought it was working.
So what you're saying right now is the 17 sergeants that are there, you don't
I believe the
believe
next
that the
jump to lieutenant, there
seniority?
should be a test. That's what I believe in. There should be a test for lieutenant, regardless of the individuals that are at sergeant right now.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anyone else? I don't want to, no, everybody else is good? Okay, so then, as I said before, I'd like consideration to move it up to first reading. Is there an ability to do that this evening. I need a motion,
I'll move it.
okay, and I need a second.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, and we'll go to roll call. And this is for first reading only.
Councilperson DeCaro.
No.
Councilperson DePalma.
I just have one question before I vote. Should this go to second reading, Mark? How much of this can be amended based off the conversations that we have over the next 2 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, the question becomes, if there are amendments to the ordinance, would those amendments substantively change what the ordinance is trying to accomplish? And then and I wouldn't know that until I know
Until you know
what
what the
the
amendments
changes
are.
are, right? And then if it's so substantial that it changes it, and it almost becomes a new ordinance, then, you would have to adopt amendments, and then you wouldn't be able to adopt it on second reading. You'd have to have, and because we're at the end of the year, it has to be adopted within this year, because you can't carry over ordinances from one year to the other.
It's a different governing body?
Correct, right. Everything dies as of 12/31.
I'm going to vote yes, but just because I think that conversations need to happen, and if it makes sense for everybody involved, then we'll have that discussion at the next meeting.
Councilperson Desai. Yes. Councilperson Garcia.
I'm going to abstain at this point, so I have more knowledge and more information on what's going on. I'm still confused over it.
Okay. Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes for first reading.
Councilperson Paschetti.
Yes.
Council Vice President Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes, we have to just move forward, and anyone, like I said, anyone who has any questions from the council, please make sure that you reach out in these 2 weeks so you can make an informed decision and something you're comfortable with.
So that was 6 yeses, a public hearing set for December 19th, 2023.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, council.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Acting Chief. God bless somebody. Okay. Ordinances for first reading. FR1, ordinance of the Township of Old Bridge vacating a portion of township right-of-way not needed for public use and authorizing sale of the same. Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Do I have a second? Okay, moved by Councilman DePalma, second by Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro.
Yes.
Councilperson DePalma.
Yes.
Councilperson Desai.
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Councilperson Paschetti.
Yes.
Council Vice President Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
8 yeses, public hearing and second reading set for December 19th, 2023.
FR2, ordinance amending Old Bridge Township Code, Chapter 10, Section 10-25 of the Township Code regarding speed limits. Speed limits on Schulmeister Road and Astor Circle.
Move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Paschetti.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro.
Yes.
Councilperson DePalma.
Yes.
Councilperson Desai. Councilperson Garcia.
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli. Councilperson Paschetti.
Yes.
Council Vice President Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
That's 8 yeses. Public hearing set for December 19th, 2023.
FR3, ordinance amending Chapter 10, Traffic, Section 10-19.7B of the Code of the Township of Old Bridge. Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Paschetti.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro.
Yes.
Councilperson DePalma.
Yes.
Councilperson Desai. Councilperson Garcia. Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli. Councilperson Paschetti.
Yes.
Council Vice President Walker.
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
8 yeses. Public hearing set for December 19th, 2023.
Next will be our consent agenda. I'll ask for a motion in a second, and then I'll bring it out for separations.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Mr. DePalma, second by Mrs. Walker. Now we'll go for separations.
Councilperson DeCarro, any items for separation?
None, thank you.
Councilperson De Palma?
No, thank you.
Councilperson Desai?
No.
Councilperson Garcia?
None, thank you.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli?
No, thank you.
Councilperson Pasquitti?
No separations, thank you.
Council Vice President Walker?
No, thank you.
And Council President Sohar.
No, thank you.
Okay, so a roll call vote for the entire consent agenda. Councilperson DeCarro?
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma?
Yes.
Councilperson Desai?
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia?
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli? Councilperson Pasquitti?
Yes.
Council Vice President Walker?
Yes.
Council President Sohar.
Yes.
8 yeses.
Report of the Township Clerk.
I have no report, Council President.
Report of the Township Attorney.
Nothing to report, Madam President.
And Administrative Report, Mrs. Shapiro.
Thank you, Council President. This is the administrative report dated December 5th, 2023. I have 6 items for you tonight, beginning with item number 1, fiscal year 2024 NJDOT Local Freight Impact Fund Grant Application. The Township has prepared an application to the New Jersey Department of Transportation for their 2024 Local Freight Impact Fund Program to fund construction of the Jake Brown Road South Connector. Jake Brown Road South Connector will provide improvements to 3,250 linear feet of roadway and connect White Oak Lane Extension to Old Bridge Mattawan Road, Middlesex County Route 516. A resolution approving the submission of this application in the amount of $3,521,020.15 is on tonight's consent agenda. Item number 2, Park and Recreation Winter Program Registration. The Park and Recreation Winter Program Guide is now available to view online. Registration begins on Tuesday, December 19th at 6 p.m. Some of the programs offering include ice skating lessons, ceramics, karate, cardio kickboxing, yoga, robotics, and coding classes. For more information, please visit www.oldbridge.com/recreation or call the Recreation Office at 732-721-5600, extension 4999. Item number 3, Anchor Program deadline is approaching. The Anchor Program provides property tax relief to New Jersey residents who own or rent property in New Jersey as their principal resident and meet certain income limits. The current filing season for the Anchor benefit is based on 2020 residency, income, and age. The filing deadline is Friday, December 29th, 2023. Most homeowners can file online or by phone with an identification number and PIN. Renters may file online and do not need ID and PIN. For more information, visit nj.gov/treasury/taxation/anchor. Item number 4, Bond Anticipation Notes Sale. On Thursday, November 30th, 2023, the Department of Finance received 4 bids for the sale of $6.1 million of bond anticipation notes scheduled to mature on September 13, 2024. The winning bid from Piper Sandler and Company has a net increase cost of 3.8595% or $175,917.22. The net interest cost range from 3.8595% to 5.5%. Item number 5, Fall Leaf Collection. Fall Leaf Collection continues this week in Wards 4, 5, and 6. Public Works will begin the final rounds of collection in all wards on Monday, December 11th. Please make sure your paper leaf bags are at the curb this Sunday night and kept outside all week, rain or shine. If your leaves are not picked up by December 18th, please email publicworks@oldbridge.com or call extension 6140. Item number 6, Mayor Henry's 2023 Clean Team Recap. Mayor Henry's Clean Team would like to thank our great volunteers from 2023. We welcomed over 65 nonprofit groups to the cleanup program this year. Together, they cleaned up over 2,100 bags of garbage and bulk items from our roads, beaches, and parks. We would also like to extend a huge thank you to our auxiliary police officers and public works staff. The program could not run without them. And that, Council President, concludes the administrative report.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Shapiro. Does anyone have a question or a comment? Okay, then I'll ask for a motion to accept.
Second.
Okay, moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. De Palma.
Roll call, Councilperson DeCarro?
Yes.
Councilperson De Palma?
Yes.
Councilperson Desai?
Yes.
Councilperson Garcia?
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes.
Councilperson Paskiddy?
Yes.
Council Vice President Walker?
Yes.
Council President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yeses.
Next will be public comment on any subject matter for a maximum period of 3 minutes.
The public comment portion of our meeting is to allow the public to bring to the council's attention their concerns or comments. This section is open for any topic or items in the consent agenda. In accordance with NJSA 10:4-12A and the Old Bridge Rules of Council, the council asks the public to limit their comments to 3 minutes or less. Only one member of the public shall approach to speak to council at a time. The council will respect the public's time by refraining from any comment until the speaker is finished with their allotted time. It should be further noted that the public comment portion of our meeting is not structured as a question and answer session. If a member of the public has questions they seek answers to, an appointment can be made with the corresponding department's office during regular business hours. The township clerk will regulate the time during the comment portion of our meeting.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to come up this evening and be heard? Okay. Gentlemen? Good evening.
Just your name, please.
Michael Krasinski. Good evening, Council President, Council members, Mayor. My name is Michael Krasinski. I'm currently the Vice President of PBA Local 127A, which represents the supervisors within.
I don't mean to be disrespectful.
Sounds like it's on.
Are you a police officer?
I am, yes.
Okay. I'm going to take it off.
No problem. So I'm currently the Vice President of PBA Local 127A, which represents the supervisors within the Old Bridge Police Department. I want to start off by saying thank you for honoring our fine men and women of the police department for the awards given out earlier tonight. It was wonderful that our outstanding officers are recognized for their actions protecting the citizens of Old Bridge. Normally, awards like this are only recognized during Police Week in May, so it's nice to see things, in December around the holidays. That being said, I stand to you in front of you today to discuss the proposed ordinance change to the administrative code of the Old Bridge Police Department, specifically the change discussed earlier involving promotions. I'm not sure if most of you are familiar with the current process, and it seems like you weren't due to earlier questions you had, but I'll give you a brief oversight. I've been a member of the police department for 20 plus years. I myself have taken 3 promotional exams. Testing process is a vigorous and time-consuming process that every candidate takes part in. Everyone who has taken a promotional exam knows what a toll it takes on both the candidate and his or her family, as it takes at least 6 months for study and preparation for this exam. As someone who participated in the process multiple times, I can tell you firsthand, it's not perfect. We heard it here today. But what process is? I'm an advocate for fixing what's broken and making it right. You heard tonight that we were opposed to it. We're not opposed to changes. We're opposed to this particular ordinance and this change. Back in February, I had discussions with the acting chief and the mayor about promotional change in this ordinance. We were all in agreement that at some point it needs to change. There needs to be some kind of change. But no discussions have taken place on this change for over 6 months now. So imagine my surprise when I woke up this morning to see this proposed ordinance change on the agenda. I have read this ordinance. This ordinance does not change the process for the betterment of the entire police department. And we, as members of the police department, specifically the superiors officers, cannot support it. We took a unanimous vote against this particular ordinance. I don't want to get into specifics because I only have 3 minutes of your time. And I'd like to sit with you guys. I know you were told not to speak with police officers, but I urge you at any point, if you would like to reach out, we can discuss it. I'm worried this ordinance change, as it reads now, will lead to costly lawsuits that neither the town nor the union want to waste costly tax dollars on. I would welcome any one of you today to reach out to me, like I said, and discuss the issue in further detail. More importantly, I do not think a change in this department of this magnitude is something that should be considered at this particular time. We have been without a chief of police for over 2.5 years now. We've endured multiple acting chiefs who have led the department in different directions, some good, some bad. Now there is finally light at the end of the tunnel. Mayor-elect Mrs. Walker has publicly stated that making a police chief is a priority. I believe she even said she would appoint something in the first 30 days. I applaud you for this. Okay. Please reach out to me.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to come up this evening and speak? Please. Good evening.
Good evening, Council. Good evening, Mayor. My name is Hamad. I'm one of the nurses at Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital that I'm sure everybody here has heard of has been on strike. So today, I stand before you to address the critical issue affecting our community, the understaffing of nurses in our hospitals, whether that be Old Bridge, Robert Wood, Perth Amboy, doesn't matter. Our dedicated nurses are facing unsafe working conditions, leading to burnout and compromising the care that our residents deserve. Nurses at Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital have been on strike for more than 120 days. 120 days. These people were called heroes a few years ago. Nurses in other hospitals are in the process of taking strike authorization votes, advocating for safe staffing. Safe staffing involves evidence-based nurse-to-patient ratios. This is crucial to ensuring the safety of both nurses and patients. Currently, there's a bill pending, both in the Assembly and the Senate, A4536 and S304, in the legislature that establishes minimum registered professional nurse staffing standards. This bill awaits a committee hearing, and we urge everyone here to support it. We kindly ask that you consider passing a municipal resolution in support of the bill, to which I emailed everyone earlier today, and adding the resolution and creating a resolution and adding a resolution to the agenda in the next council meeting. By doing so and voting in favor, you express you will be supporting safe staffing and the well-being of our residents in our community. Tonight, along with a bunch of fellow nurses, we voice to the council our support for this resolution. It's a crucial step towards ensuring the health and safety of residents of Old Bridge, of our brother sister townships, of everyone in the state.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to be heard this evening? Anyone else? No? Then I will, oh, okay, yeah, come forward. Good evening.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. My name is Ryan Siegel from East Brunswick. I was previously a resident of Old Bridge for approximately 6 years. I'm also one of the nurses that has been on strike for more than 120 days at Robert Wood Johnson, Barnabas, and New Brunswick. This past Friday, it was announced that a tentative agreement had been reached between the local nursing union and the hospital. To clarify, the strike is not over yet, and members still need to review the details and vote on whether or not to accept the terms. However, regardless of the nursing strike in New Brunswick coming to an end in the near future or not, it is extremely important that the safe staffing bills be passed throughout the state of New Jersey so that all patients can be cared for safely by their nurses. We need support from all of our local officials. This is the reason we are asking for the support of Old Bridge Township by passing a resolution supporting the passing of safe staffing bills S304 and A4536. One of the questions we get is, how can we mandate ratios when there is a shortage of nurses? There are many licensed nurses that no longer work as nurses due to the conditions they faced while working at the bedside. Nurses are discouraging their friends and family from becoming nurses due to the conditions being faced. Nurses are searching for nursing jobs that don't involve working at the bedside. If there truly is a nursing shortage, by not implementing enforceable safe staffing standards, the problem will only become worse. If conditions at the bedside are improved, more nurses will want to continue working at the bedside, more individuals will want to become nurses, and perhaps most importantly, studies show that safe patient staffing decreases mortality, decreases medical errors, and decreases the amount of time a patient must stay in the hospital, just for starters. Please reach out to us if you have any questions. We'll make sure that you all have a copy emailed to you after the meeting, and thank you for your support.
Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to be heard? Okay, And seeing no hands, I will close public portion, and I'll go to council comments.
Councilperson DeCarro.
Yes, thank you. Thank you all for coming tonight. We just got your email a little while ago, so I did glance through it, but I've been aware of your situation for quite some time now. I would wholeheartedly support a resolution to support you guys, and I would urge the rest of my colleagues to do that if there's a way that we can. I see that you gave us a short version and a long version. And I don't know if the rest of my colleagues have really had a chance to look at the email, so I don't know if they would feel comfortable putting that resolution up tonight, because, like I said, I think it just came around 6:45 tonight. So I would certainly love to put it on the agenda as a discussion item for I don't know if that's possible for next meeting, because I wholeheartedly support you guys, and I see nothing, absolutely nothing that would prevent anyone from, being okay with this. It's all about staffing, and, definitely as someone who, has had a son in the hospital, as someone who has had a mom in the hospital, the nurses are the backbone. You guys are there, and staffing is very important. So that definitely. So. Okay, next. My question for our legal counsel, I guess. We are allowed to speak to union leaders as union reps, or no? Like, is there a legal, what's the legality there?
The Faulkner Act indicates that township employees, questions regarding, and union rep as a township employee, are to be communicated through the administrator. That's the way the Faulkner Act works, because the fact that administrative employees are administrative employees. Clerk's office is the council's purview. So that's the way the administrative code set up. I think there's a provision in the statutes set up. I think that's the provision in our code as well. The mimics the state statute under Faulkner Act.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the other thing just a couple of nice things that I wanted to discuss. First of all, I want to congratulate all the officers for their awards tonight, because definitely it's a wonderful thing when we celebrate our police, and we should always show them our support. And definitely you guys are all great. You all deserve awards, but congratulations to the ones who received awards tonight. Just real quick with this ordinance, preferably I would like to hold off until January to even discuss it, because we're in the end of December now. Things are going to change in January. I feel like now is not the time. I would like to personally, let's just wait until January to even have any discussion further, because it looks like, as the vote was tonight, it was moved to first reading. But that's one person's opinion. Anyway, so congratulations to my very good friends, Diane Michael, Kimmy Van Rolla, for your SEPTA board reception. And you guys, I remember when you guys started this, and I know how much work you guys put in, and also Colleen and Push. And I know how much work you guys put in, and your heart and soul goes into everything you guys do. And Nancy and Nancy Coughlin and Andrew Borriello also for their wood shop. You guys are awesome. And I was there at Lombardi Field when it went up, and it was just great. And Troop 129 for their getting their Eagle Scout badges, and I can't remember, Thomas Fulton is his name. Yeah, that he was here tonight for the Higgins. So really, you guys are awesome, but you know that. I think that. Anyway, also, I wanted to say, I wanted to thank our Director of Economic Development, Steve Mamakis, for inviting council to a very early Friday morning, a very early news interview. Channel 12 came out and did basically a highlight. I think we chose maybe 6 businesses. Between Director Mamakis and Channel 12, they chose 6 businesses. So we highlighted Giuseppe's, Cozy Cafe, the golf course, Ice Cream Monster, Jenna Rose, and Bury the Hatchet. And it was really wonderful. Those were only 6 businesses. We have so many businesses that we can highlight in Old Bridge. And I would really love it. And I think I overheard him talking about doing some sort of monthly, highlighting all of the businesses monthly to just really bring to light all of the wonderful places that we have here in Old Bridge. So that was really wonderful. And it wasn't so much fun getting up and getting there for 5 a.m., but it was worth it. We had a lot of fun. So on that note, I think I am done. Thank you.
Councilperson De Palma.
Thank you to the nurses for coming out. Just know that you guys are supported. I didn't get a chance to review your email yet, but I will, and look forward to seeing it in a future meeting. So know you all are supported. One of my best friends and his wife are both nurses. I understand the plight. I understand what you guys are going through. So know that you are supported by folks up here and even throughout our state. Also, congratulations again to the 11 officers honored tonight. Right, we appreciate your dedication to the township and its residents. We're a great community in part due to the work that you all do. Just know that there are advocates throughout the town, throughout everywhere, that support all of our police, and tonight was a great example of honoring them. On a lighter note, happy Hanukkah to all those celebrating this week. As we enter this holiday season, let's just make sure that we reflect on our time with our family and friends, not take it for granted. I think it's been talked about a lot. There are a lot of people who are going into the holidays different this year, whether they've lost loved ones, different situations that have happened in their life. Just make sure you reach out to them during this time. This is probably the hardest time of year. I remember losing family members, and day over day goes by, but then all of a sudden you're at a holiday thinking about your loved one, and it is tough. Make sure we reach out to those folks and, give them a hug, give them a warm embrace on the phone. And finally, there's a lot of holiday events and celebrations that are going to be happening over the next couple of weeks, leading up to New Year's. Not to be safety patrol, but, just make sure that everyone takes special care for not only you, but others around you are getting home. If you are in any way impaired by take an Uber, take a Lyft, do whatever it takes necessary to get home to ensure that not only you return to your loved ones, but those around you return to them as well. And thank you, and happy Hanukkah again.
Councilperson Desai.
Thank you for all you come out today. I go every 2 months for the fusion, and I know how good the nurses are treating patients. And I see all of you standing on the road and picketing. I will support if our council give us okay that we can make the resolution. I'll be the first to vote yes. At the same time, I would like to send a greetings to the Jewish community of Old Bridge. Hanukkah is coming just in 2 days, so I believe they should enjoy. It's a peaceful celebration, and along with the Hanukkah, I pray that the conflict in Middle East, which is going on and killing both sides, should stop, and there should be a harmony between all kind of community, either Christian, Hindu, Muslim, anybody. We all are human. So, one more time, I promise you all that if there is something we can do it, I'll be the first one to vote yes. Thank you.
Councilperson Garcia?
Yes, thank you. I also want to thank and congratulate the police officers tonight that received their awards. 'Cause like I said, police don't get recognized nowhere near enough, not just in Old Bridge, throughout the country. Police work hard, and they should be honored, maybe more often. So congratulations to the honorees tonight. They did a great job. And to the guys who didn't receive awards, thank you as well, because we need the cops. You guys do a great job. What else do we have? Matt, I want to thank you for doing a great job with recreation. That was a great event tonight. It was perfect. The weather was perfect. You even got decent weather. So it was great. So thank you, you and your team, of course. And I as well support the nurses. We need nurses. I just couldn't imagine going to a hospital without nurses. So I'm here to support you. I'm sure the whole council is here to support you. So I'm sure you'll have our support. So thank you for what you guys do. And happy Hanukkah for those that celebrate. That's all I have. Thank you.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg-Belli?
Yes. First of all, thank you all for taking the time and coming here tonight. As the evening started out, we see that we do have a lot to be appreciative for and to be grateful for. And the awards for the police, I think it's very important that we do this so the township realizes what they do and that they are recognized for the really the valor that they portray every day protecting us. And it's very important to really bring attention to that and focus on that. As far as the nurses, it is sad. I'm in medicine, but with animals. But I do see that as nurses, I say that all the time in our schools. People aren't going into medicine as much as they were before into nursing. And I think in years to come, you're going to see shortages. We're seeing them in different fields of medicine now. I don't know, when I was growing up, that was something that everyone aspired to do, to go into medicine, whatever field it was. And that is changing now. So it is a concern. And I thank you for sending us the email. We will certainly read it and do our due diligence and pay attention. And we are supportive because really you're supportive of the people that are in the hospital to take care of them and the long hours that you do put in, the stress. And I notice when you are in the hospital, we say it all the time from when I was younger, we had candy stripers. I don't even think you might even know what they were at the time. But there was all different levels of nursing that really focused on the really progression of nursing. And it's gotten very advanced and it's very stressful. So thank you for presenting this to us. And I applaud you for all the effort that you do, not only for nurses, but for now going through this, and it's difficult time. So I know this council will do its work and pay attention, to that. I just want everyone to enjoy the holidays, enjoy your families and friends, show gratitude for what we do have. And I'm really, when I look around at the town, everyone at different entities does bring everything together. Everyone has different interests, different focus, but all of us together is what makes this town really great. And we got to keep on going in that direction. And I just wish everyone a wonderful holiday season and happy Hanukkah. Thank you.
Councilperson Pescitti?
Yes, thank you. I'm sure most of us have been in the hospital, and the nurse can make or break your stay. And I've never had a bad experience. I don't know anybody that's had a bad experience, but I remember people having good experiences, especially by caring nurses. And I think that our country has gotten off track when it comes to medicine, and it seems to be more of a money-making business arrangement instead of a caring facility. And I think that's part of the problem. I think, the medicine should not be included in our stock market. It should have nothing to do with it. It should be separate. It should just be about caring for people. And what it costs, and that's it. Of course, you need management. Of course, there's abuse and so forth and so on, but really it comes down to care. So I appreciate all of you coming tonight, and I thank you for the email. And I'm sure you're going to get support from this council. I'm sure that we'll get a resolution together and submit that. We have to do our due diligence. We have to read it and make sure it's the language is clear and it's worthwhile. I'm sure it is. But thank you. Thank you very much. And I too want to wish everybody happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year. Oh, we'll be back one more time. Okay. All right. Well, no one's promised tomorrow, so we don't know what's going to happen. So I'll get it out at a time. Thank you.
Council Vice President Walker.
I too would like to thank the nurses for coming this evening. I was at the Christmas tree lighting, so I didn't have time to read the email, but I'll read it when I go home. I support and love nurses. My husband was in the hospital for over 6 months, and if it weren't for the nurses, I know he wouldn't have survived. We talk about it all the time, and we're ever grateful and thankful for you. And I know this council as a whole is going to support you 100%. Also, I want to thank our police officers tonight that were those that were recognized and those that weren't, because they put their lives on the line every day for us, and I'm very thankful for them. And also, I just want to wish everyone a happy Hanukkah. We'll be back for Christmas, so everybody stay safe.
Council President Sohar.
Yes, well, I will make it unanimous about the nurses. About a month ago, I had a really, really bad fall, and I was attended to. It was really amazing how well I was taken care of. And I'm just one in hundreds that you see all the time. And sometimes, you're at the end of the rope and here we go again. But I just want to thank you, because I'll tell you what, during the pandemic, if it wasn't for you guys, you were amazing, and you really, really were. You were grace under stress. And I know myself, I wouldn't have had that wherewithal. So really know that you're appreciated. And like Mrs. Walker said, we got it a little late, so I really didn't get to read either. But we will definitely have it on, next council meeting, which is the 19th. So do know you are supported and you are appreciated. Thank you so much. And of course, I'll echo naturally everybody else's comments about the police and SEPTA and the Eagle Scouts. I mean, that's Holbridge, and they just work together, and everyone here has that kind of an attitude. Thank you, Matt. It was a great program, Lisa, everyone. And it was just fun to see the kids and the faces. You always forget, and then they see Santa. And it's like, oh my God. And I'm a new grandma, so I'm really enjoying it all over again. But it was a wonderful evening. Thank you very, very much. To everyone out there, happy Hanukkah. And make sure, like Eric said, you're safe and you have a great holiday season. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to make one quick announcement. Our next meeting is December 19th, but also our reorganization meeting is scheduled for January 1st at 12 p.m. for anybody who's interested in attending the meeting.
Yep. Okay, it'll be here in the courtroom. Thank you very much. And I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call. Councilperson DeCaro?
Yes.
Councilperson DePalma? Yes. Councilperson Desai? Yes. Councilperson Garcia?
Yes.
Councilperson Dr. Greenberg-Deli? Yes. Councilperson Pasquitti? Yes. Council Vice President Walker?
Yes.
Council President Sohar?
Yes, thank you all. Have a great evening.
Meeting's adjourned at 9:05 p.m.